Hello from Adventure Isle and welcome to Park Güell. We are here in Barcelona on a very rainy day and we're going to go take a tour of Park Güell, take you along with us, and show you all of the fun things we can find in this iconic area in Barcelona. Let's get started. Let's get started here at Park Güell. So here is a map, what we're going to go and walk around and see, and a little bit of information about Park Güell. Its origins were an urban development project that was awarded to Antoni Gaudí by a Catalan industrialist whose plan was to build 61 houses for well-to-do families, along with a network of roads, viaducts, and stairs to make it easier to get around the hilly terrain. Güell wanted to recreate the British residential parks and locate homes close to nature. That's why he called it Park Güell. Work began in 1900 and finished in 1914 with the construction of the pillared hall, Hypostle Hall, which we will definitely go and see, and the bench. The park is organized around a central core of monuments, staircase, pillared hall, and the square. Work came to an end in 1922 following the failure of urban development project, so Güell sold the park to the city council, which opened this as a city park. So that's the history of Park Güell. Here's a map. Let's go walk around and see what we can find. Most of Park Güell kind of looks like this. It's a huge, sprawling park area with lots of these tree-lined paths and rock walls all around it. We're going to wander around and find a bunch of cool stuff. So we're going to learn a lot more about Park Güell as we go, but basically this is a giant park at the top of Barcelona that was inspired and partially designed and created by Gaudi, who is basically the most famous architect here in Barcelona. And it's raining, so there is a house tour we're going to do, and we're also just going to walk around and explore this park. Normally it has these gorgeous city views. We're going to see how much of that we can see in the rain, though. So now that we are here in Park Güell, we are going to go inside the house of Gaudi. There is an audio guide for visiting the park, but the audio guide does not spread into the house. So they recommended we go and do the house tour first since it is raining. And then we're going to grab the audio guide, which is actually an app on your phone. And you can learn all about this place that we're visiting in Barcelona. But first up, we're going to go into this house, the house of Gaudi. It's a museum house. But the artwork actually starts before you even enter the house with these gorgeous mosaics that line the walkway on your way up to this large house. It says, "Welcome to the Gaudi House Museum. This home is where architect Antoni Gaudí lived from 1906 to 1925, shortly before his death. The building, constructed as a show house for Park Güell, was designed actually not by Gaudi, but Gaudi's friend and right-hand man, and the Gaudi House Museum opened to the public in 1963 and was managed by another company, a foundation, and it's devoted to the memory of the architect." It's very quiet in here, but there's lots of cool furniture that was designed by Gaudi. So down here on the bottom floor is mostly different furnishings that Gaudi made, and a painting of him. And over here, some ironwork for Casa Calvet, which there's a picture of around the side. It says that a common element in all of Gaudi's work are contribution by craftsmen that he worked in close collaboration with. And this house actually has an upstairs and a downstairs. Right now we're just taking a look at the downstairs kind of furniture area. Look at this mirror. The tour started down here in this area that we just walked through, and now we're going to head upstairs. All right. Oh, there's a timeline over here. Let's take a look at his work. So this timeline talks about when they started construction on this house. Park Güell started in 1900. They actually completed the house in 1904. and they moved into the house in 1906. You can see some pictures of it down here as well. At 1925, though, he actually moved into the church workshop where he lived. And in 1926, Park Güell was opened as a public park. Unfortunately, also in 1926, Gaudi died 3 days after being run over by a tram, which was a horribly sad end to a genius man. And the house was bought by someone else in 1926, and it actually didn't become a museum until 1963. And it was a natural cultural interest site declared in 1969. And it became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in '84. And now you can come visit it. And one of the most interesting things here in the house to look at is actually the ceiling, like the ceiling and the floors, and there's so many detail, even in things like this light fixture. Tiles and the mosaic floors. This is not Antoni Gaudí. This is a portrait of somebody else. This is a bust of Gaudí. And here we have a couple of bedrooms, with some religious elements, of course. This was Gaudi's actual bedroom. It says, although it seems that there was a prayer room in the house, it was his bedroom that Gaudi prayed and meditated in every morning, kneeling before this crucifix that's over here on the wall. This house has 3 stories, a basement, and a pointed tower. There's 2 chimneys and a tower roof covered in ceramic mosaics. And here's some blueprints and some pictures of the home. And here, this is Gaudi's right-hand man. Gaudi trusted this man completely, and he worked at the same time as an assistant to the architect in a different neighborhood and helped with lots of architectural projects here in Barcelona. Some more details over here about Gaudi's house, and how Gaudi may not have decorated the interior himself, though the design work was his. This house had beautiful views of the park outside. That was so fun for our first spot to explore here in Park Güell. Now we're going to go and find a giant outdoor theater where lots of live performances have taken place, and we're going to give you some history and information on that next. This area we're standing in right now is called the Greek Theater or the Nature Square. It's called that because it's made to hold large open-air shows that can be seen from the surrounding terraces up there. It's also called Nature Square. Part of the square is dug into the rock, which you can kind of see all around us here. And it says that one side of the square there is a bench covered with colored pieces of pottery, and on the other side, over there on the far side, you can see a wall with columns shaped like palm trees. And then I'll give you a quick look at this awesome bench that's covered with colored pieces of pottery, and it looks like this all the way around. And here's a better look also at those benches that are covered in these beautiful mosaic tiles and would create places for people to sit here in this open air theater. And it's big. It's probably hard to tell on camera just quite how big this square is, but those benches go all the way around. And then there's those upper seating areas up there where you can kind of see if there was a show here in the square from above. And from up here in the square, you do also get these beautiful views of the city of Barcelona. And over there, you can actually see La Familia Sagrada, which is the church that Gaudi designed. Next, we're going to head through this as an original iron gate into the LaundryRoom Portico, which is wave-shaped. That was an original iron gate we just walked through. And here in the portico, on one of the columns, there's a figure of a washerwoman, and it's the only human figure in the whole park. I'm going to try and go find where the washerwoman is depicted. All right, it's actually really long too. It goes all the way around to that side over there. It's a really long walkway, and we're still looking for that one human figure. We actually missed the figure right when we first walked in because she's actually just on the third column once you pass those iron gates on the outside. That's where you can find the washerwoman, the only figure that's depicted here in Park Güell. Next up, we're heading down to this room that's below the theater. This is called the Hypostle Room. And I'll have some details about it when we get down into the actual room. But this is a room made of columns that's holding up that part of the theater that we were just up in up there, where we showed you all those mosaic benches and that beautiful view. Oh, wow. So this is the Hypostle Room. This room is made up of many columns. The columns on the outside are inclined and wave-shaped. Kind of see those waves up there. At the top of the set of columns is the wave-shaped bench up there on the outside. And there is an inner pipe that collects the rainwater in a tank and carries it out through the mouth of the dragon, which is actually on the staircase, which we'll go see in a moment. And inside the room there are some spaces that have no columns. And the ceiling is very original because it has rounded shapes and is decorated with colored panels of ceramic. And if we venture a little farther in, you can see those colored mosaics that they were just talking about in the ceiling there. And just up here on the outside of the building, and here on the outside of the building, you can see those dragons that are collecting the water and draining it from the area above. There's also another great view of Park Güell from underneath that column area. All right, next up we have the dragon stairway, which you can see a little bit better here in this kind of overhead picture, but we are standing right in front of it. It's pretty crowded here today at Park Güell as well, but it says that from this enormous staircase, you can reach the most important places in the park. On either side of the staircases, there are walls which form terraces, so on this side and on this side. Staircase is divided into 3 parts, and in the middle, this area right here, there is a water from a fountain flows, this fountain right here. On the very first landing, there's some original shapes in a raft with plants. This is what you can see that we're looking at closely right here. And then halfway up the staircase is the coat of arms of Catalonia in a mosaic form, kind of being blocked by this person in the umbrella. And then further up the staircase, there is a famous dragon covered in ceramic pieces. That's unfortunately what's up there, kind of behind the yellow and white. It's under refurbishment right now, so you actually can't see it. And then at the top of the staircase, there's a little bench you can sit in. That's kind of underneath that column area that we were in. So really the most interesting thing you can see right now from the dragon staircase is this fountain, where water flows from the mountain. Let's go take a look at the viaducts that are up this way. These huge stone archways. This is a gorgeous, huge, beautiful park. Here are the viaducts. There's actually several of these on the property, but we'll take a look at this one. let's keep heading up. So the only real information given in the audio guide about this upper viaduct is that Park Güell has many slopes, and for that reason, Gaudi designed it as a series of very long paths that connect different areas of the park. So this is the upper viaduct, and there's also a lower viaduct, and they offer really great views. Here on the outside of Park Güell, actually, after you've actually exited the park, you can get a great view of these two buildings that are actually called the Porter Lodge Pavilion. So there is one building here and one building over here. And the history of these is that when Park Güell was built, the main entrance was on this street, Cali Alat. From this entrance, you can see the spectacular staircase there that we just showed you. This fence is made of stone with ceramics. The entrance gates are made of iron in the shape of a leaf. It's kind of hard to see those because a lot of people are standing in front of them, but we'll walk and take a look in a second. There are two buildings in this space. One of these buildings was where the former Porter's Lodge was, where the caretaker lived, and the other, and is now called the Casa de Guarda, and the other building was the concierge's office with a waiting room and a telephone booth. So this building over here. Both of them have very nice ceilings made of ceramic tiles. You can see here lots of beautiful ceramic tiles on these outdoor buildings. And you can also see that iron gate that we were just talking about that looks like it's made up of leaves. All right, that's it for us here at Park Güell. We have just exited. What a fun place this is to visit in Barcelona. If you're coming to Spain, I highly recommend coming here and walking around. Honestly, just to see the mosaics, but all of the architecture and everything that Gaudi built here into Park Güell is beautiful and well worth a visit if you're coming here to Barcelona. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you're not already, make sure to like and subscribe here at our page, Adventure Isle. We'll be back soon.